Good day and thank you for returning to MMA Alerts. Ticket sales for UFC 310 are terrible, so let's get down to business today. There seems to be a problem with the ticket sales for UFC 310. The UFC has reportedly begun lowering ticket prices everywhere following Bilal Muhammad's withdrawal and the booking of a fight between Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Garry as the new co-main event. Please hit the like button on the video before we go any further, it will much appreciate it. Ticket prices have dropped from $1,200 to $1,000 according to Fight Opinion. In addition, the price of the tickets has dropped from $1,000 to $750. A report on the current status of the UFC 310 ticket sales at Las Vegas's T-Mobile Arena. Incredibly awful. Decreases have already taken place. Ticket prices range from $1,200 to $1,000. A reduction from $1,000 to $750 for seats. Putting paper on top of this could make it look even worse. It is noteworthy that UFC's market share in Las Vegas is declining. Aaron Bronstetter, a reporter for TSN, discussed the matter and questioned whether there was anything else happening that was causing hotel rates to rise. The outrageous hotel rates that don't assist bring in out-of-state visitors must be due to some other event happening in Vegas that week. To be honest, I haven't even looked at ticket sales. I just saw that when we booked hotels for that week, the costs were extremely outrageous. His explanation followed suit. Excalibur costs about $400 per night, which is 8 times the average. The National Finals Rodeo is from December 5th through the 14th, and an Amazon Web Service conference is from December 2nd through the 6th, as pointed out by Fight Aficionados. There are a lot of available tickets since the venue image shows mostly blue everywhere. Meanwhile, in a video that surfaced online, Shavkat Rakhmonov was seen training with Nassourdine Imavov in anticipation of his bout with Ian Garry. After Bo Nickal made some remarks, Daniel Cormier shot back. While Bo Nickal did get his largest career win last weekend against the tenacious veteran Paul Craig, the outcome wasn't quite as decisive as expected. Nickal was left feeling angry when Daniel Cormier, who he trusts for honest comments, indicated during the broadcast that, from what he could see, Nickal still had some work to do before he could compete with Hamza Chimaev. Everyone was ecstatic with the victory. In response to Nickal's remarks from earlier in the week, Cormier stated on his brand new 3-round show that he believes Nickal will become a UFC champion in due time. And he was impressed by the performance. There is still opportunity for growth notwithstanding his assertions. Since I have faith in Bull and think he will win a championship someday, this one caught me off guard. I believe he's an honest and considerate man who is attempting to express himself politely, but I fear he may have misconstrued my meaning. In this fight, I was mostly attempting to convey the idea that we shouldn't rush him. Encounters with somewhat more seasoned opponents. He has accomplished so much in such a little time. I was winning the striking and I was happy to get experience in the cage doing something I've never done before. The NCAA legend said in response to reporter Damian Raleig's question about why he didn't wrestle versus Craig in DC and Nickal. My one and only regret is that I should have been more aggressive after injuring him in the 3rd round. When my opponent is injured, I must devise a more effective strategy to attack. Dana White agreed with DC that Nickal may have won all 3 rounds, but he still needs to improve, echoing criticisms leveled by Israel Adesanya, who deemed the bout dull. The UFC seems to have no problem going at a leisurely pace with him because he has only been fighting for a short while. Alex Volkanovski announces a championship defense in his upcoming fight and provides an update. The talk of a possible bout with Diego Lopez is also put to rest by him. Volk said as follows, "For the title, we're good. When will that be?" To some extent, it is the question. Who says we can't try to get a stadium? Clearly, that's a possibility in Spain. Is it possible that Sydney may still work? Given that, I intend to. Yeah, I'll make sure to keep fit and prepared. I'll be heading to camp soon anyhow if we make it to Sydney, so I'll just dive into training and see what happens. Nothing is set in stone yet, but we'll see. Because of this, everyone is witnessing these battles unfold. Along with what we're witnessing, the Lopez, Sure, Shummer, somehow I have no idea where that comes from. I believe it was just because he said, let's do it in Sydney, and then people took it from there, but now nobody is bringing it up again. Well, you can never tell, can you? Our major focus will be on battling for the title, but we'll see how things play out. However, nothing comparable is guaranteed. Updates on UFC fights. In anticipation of this coming weekend's Fight Night event in Macau, let's review today's UFC fight news, beginning with the rescheduling of the bout between Chris Weidman and Eric Anders, which was abruptly removed from last weekend's UFC 309 card. The original middleweight limit is 185 pounds, however, due to the postponed date, the fight will take place at a catchweight of 195 pounds. Anders hopes to improve on his March victory over Jamie Pickett, while Weidman seeks a rematch with Bruno Silva, whose victory was disputed due to his many eye pokes. With the cancellation of the bout between Taliesin Teixeira and Lucas Brzeski owing to Teixeira's injuries, the addition of the Weidman-Anders battle to UFC 310 couldn't have come at a better time. On February 1st, we will also have a new addition to the Saudi Arabia card. Heavyweight contenders Shamil Gaziev and Thomas Peterson will square off on that program. After dropping the first fight of the year against BG Boy, Gaziev bounced back in August with a victory over Dontel Mays, while Peterson won in July against Muhammad Usman. Finally, on February 15th, UFC Vegas 102 will feature an MMA bout between Carly Judeas and Juliana Miller. Miller will be aiming for a successful MMA comeback after suffering 2 consecutive defeats in 2023. But Judeas will attempt to slap a 2-fight slide in the opposite direction. Vicente Luque responds to the footage of Nick Diaz. The bout between Vicente Luque and Nick Diaz, which had already been postponed, was once again cancelled this week following the viral video of Diaz setting fire to himself. Longtime girlfriend of Diaz shared the video and accompanying caption on her Instagram story stating that, plus, she tagged Diaz, further confirming that the beloved star is struggling. Vicente Luque spoke on the rescheduling of his bout with Diaz in an interview with MMA Fighting this week, expressing his deepest concern for Diaz's well-being. The specific reason for its cancellation is unknown to me. He didn't seem well in that footage of him walking the streets. Above all else, I pray that he and his loved ones are doing well. I wish him the best of luck in getting well and returning to his peak performance. The moment I laid eyes on the film, I wasn't sure whether the video was recent at first, but as I kept thinking about it, I hoped that Nick, a fighter I followed since before my UFC days, genuinely sought help to get out of his predicament. His prior works have been very influential on me. Some 6 months ago, fans were made aware that Diaz might be struggling with something personal when MMA veteran Joe Riggs, who had a previous fight with Diaz, mentioned the rescheduled Diaz-Luque bout on Tim Welsh's YouTube channel, suggesting that Diaz was battling addiction. It would appear that the MMA great needs fan support in light of that and the recent cancellation of the fight between Diaz and Luque. 2 UFC fighters, Justin Gaethje and Diego Lopez, were spotted trying to outdo one another on the punching machine. Watch the video here. My goodness. A total of 4 fighters from the Dana White contenders were suspended for anti-doping violations. 4 fighters have been suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for failing drug tests during the latest season of Dana White's Contenders series. This comes after an action-packed season in which the organization signed more athletes than ever before. Fight Junkie reports that 4 fighters, Abdullah Urami, Kwamalo Tani, Francesco Mazzio, and Michael Imperato, were suspended by the commission due to failed drug tests. Otani chose to withdraw from his bout just before he was about to go out, while Urami, Mazel, and Imperito all lost their Contender Series bouts. While Anderson Silva tested positive for drostanolone following his bout with Nick Diaz, Urami tested positive for a different substance, and Mazel tested positive for GW 1516. John Jones, Brock Lesnar, and Chael Sonnen have all tested positive for clomiphene. Otani, on the other hand, popped for it. Administered stenozolo, a drug for which Walt Harris famously tested positive in 2023. All of the combatants have been placed on interim suspensions, until the next monthly meeting of the Nevada State Athletic Commission on December 17th. The exact duration of the sanctions is yet to be announced. Health Michael Chandler shares disturbing news following UFC 309 over the past weekend in New York City. Michael Chandler fought Charles Oliveira 5 rounds to a draw, and Iron Mike appears to be paying the price. Chandler claimed he has been in excruciating agony ever since their fight at MSG in Saturday's postcard interview on Bustin' with the Boys. Additionally, Chandler mentioned that he is currently dealing with a greater number of ailments than he has in the past following a bout. I mean, training camp was amazing. The war broke out. It was our thing. This is the worst physical discomfort I've ever experienced. Without a doubt, the most injuries I've ever sustained in a combat. Yeah, well, there was peeing blood and inflammation everywhere. Every part of my body is bloated. The initial one was incredibly feathery, which was found in my drug test since I was drug tested twice in New York, once before the fight and again after. For the record, arrives true, I had a positive blood test. After the defeat, Chandler addressed his future plans. If Conor McGregor isn't prepared to return to action, Chandler plans to face either Justin Gaethje again or Max Holloway for the BMF Championship. Nevertheless, he originally planned to challenge for the title in 2025. The BMF belt's Max Holloway. My current ranking is a mystery to me. I'm guessing it's somewhere around 7 or something. You know, he beat Gaethje, so now he's number 5. So you have 2 fighters in the top 10, and they're fighting in a major bout. Chandler vs. Gaethje at 155 pounds. Another smash hit, you know. There has been no announcement regarding when Chandler will receive the go-light from doctors to compete again. Nevertheless, following his defeat at the hands of Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway plans to make his competitive return this summer. Fight fans would probably go crazy for a bout between the two of them or a rematch between Chandler and Gaethje, albeit the length of Chandler's absence might affect the popularity of the bout.